Hello guys, WvW here. Today I want to make a video about condition, power, comparison between them, when to use them, what the pros and cons of them, and the state of the game on them in general, especially competitive or only competitive. So let's start with it. What is power and what is condition? Power, I'm not gonna go full wiki on you, and there's going to be timestamps if you want to see specific things in the description, so check that out. So let's start with power. Power is a way of to do direct damage. You hit and this hit gets a number and that's it. This number is not fixed, especially in PvP after the last patch. This number actually affect a lot by the number you're gonna find on your weapon, saying weapon strings between number and the other number, so it's something always in between that. In PvP, as of the balance patch that actually went through March or 25 February actually, it's always a number in between that, in the middle, never higher, never lower. But in every other place in the game, the number changed between that and that. So increasing power damage can happen through the power states, when you can get through runes, armor, traits, anything, and the precision, which increase your critical chance, and ferocity, which increase your critical damage. Once you hit a critical hit, you will add the percentage over 100 to your hit. So you start with 150 critical damage. If you increase that to 200, now you hit a, let's say, an auto attack for 1k. If it crits, it's 2k. If it's 150, like you didn't increase it from 1k to go to a 1k and 500. And another modifier is direct modifiers, which like increase your damage 10%, increase your damage 20%, stuff like this. And the last thing is increasing damage on your opponent, like vulnerability. If you apply a condition like vulnerability to your opponent, you can get your damage high as much as the stacks, with 1% for each stack up to 25%. Those are the general ideas of power damage. So what is conditions? The conditions are effects that negative can be applied to your enemies or opponent by weapons, utility, or whatever. There are always negative effects can apply to other or even apply to yourself, like if you're a necro, and they are split on the wiki by damaging condition, CC condition or crowd control, and other condition with only vulnerability on them. This idea of splitting them are only real in fighting in like in PvE or against mobs, because it doesn't really define the hard crowd control from the crowd control one, like the skills that definitely interrupt your skill use or have an effect like disable, like stun, daze, etc., which only fear and taunt on the condition, from the other debilitating condition or the movement impairing condition ones. So I'm gonna tell you my own definition of them, which is actually damaging condition, the 5 we agree on, the only conditions that do damage, which is bleeding with the least damage and no other effect, poison, even probably less or the same damage, and have another effect of lowering the healing by 33%, any healing that comes to you, and burning with the highest damage to condition in the game, and then confusion and torment, the only conditions that affected by your behavior, with confusion doing much lower damage, and if you use a skill this damage skyrockets, and torment double exactly the damage if you're moving, and it stays the same if you're standing still. And then we have what I call movement impairing condition, with conditions that affect your movement ability, with cripple as the least interesting, with only 50% movement speed lower, and then chill with 66, with extra effect of making your cooldown increase by 66, and then immobilize, which make you completely unable to move, which also make you can't use your dodges through endurance, except if you're a mirage. So, and then we go to what I call debilitated CC condition, which actually fear, make the people run away from you, and don't make them run toward you. And then what I call debilitating condition, or the condition that actually leave effect on you but doesn't do anything else, not either than like hurt you with it, which are blinding and slow, weakness, and vulnerability. With blinding, make you completely miss the next attack you'll use, doesn't matter how much duration, only one attack and the blind is removed. And weakness, lower your damage by 50%, it make your hit glance blow, and it even lower your endurance regeneration by 50% too. And vulnerability makes the damage on you higher, and the slow make all your skill use behavior are 50% slower. So that is our introduction to condition. How to increase your condition damage, or what its effect was. Its effect by increasing direct condition damage through that state, condition damage, and condition duration through either a modifier or an expertise state, which increase it too, through something like Trailblazer armor or a Viper armor. So back to power. How to defend yourself against power. You defend yourself either by lowering the damage of your opponent through boon on yourself like protection, through weakness or them like a condition, through direct modifier like lower power damage on you, by increasing your toughness, it's lower the damage of people who hitting you with power, or by completely nullifying the damage by either avoiding it like blocking, dodging, or by taking 0 damage from power with some skills like Endure Bane for warrior or Singed Stone for ranger. How to defend yourself against condition. Condition can be removed through either cleansing, giving it to your opponent, turn it to boons, which actually even empower you more. Give it to your opponent, which renders them more weak in a fight, defeats them even possible. Copying them to your opponent, which doesn't remove them from you but hurt your opponent more. Lowering the damage or duration of the condition, or the use of boon resistance, which completely make you unaffected by condition damage as long as persists on you. In case you noticed, there is higher or more ways to defend yourself against condition than power. The last way to defend yourself even against condition is people cleanse you or turn your condition into boons or ball it from you. Every class has its way. Necro can ball condition from you or even cleanse it. Guardians can cleanse it. Engineers can turn it to boons. How to defend yourself against power? It's only by completely nullifying the damage, like people using a projectile mitigation, and that work for both condition and power, so we can't really say that's a power thing. And by healing you, and that also apply to power and condition. So how do people help you against power? They can't. They can apply boon to you like protection, then they can apply boon to you like resistance. But let's discuss this in a better idea, since protection is easier to get. So people can't really help you much against power. They can heal you and stuff, but they can do the same against condition. But they can help you seriously against condition, and that even put more pressure on playing condition. I'm a condition player, so a lot of people will think I'm a bias to this, which probably true, but I'm trying to discuss this from a really perspective way, or a better way. And that's get me to the point of discussing which is better or why. I don't think neither of them is better than the other one. I think both of them have advantages and disadvantages. And that's what I'm getting to right now. First, the advantage of playing power is that it could carry you in some fights. How? Simply, if you hit 3 people, fighting 3 people at the same time, outnumbered, you can immediately down one of them, cleave the people who are trying to revive it, or kill it yourself, like securing the stump with an elixir S if you're an engineer, for example. And now it's a 2v1, not 3. Condition build damage over time. You cannot one-shot people, the damage is not direct, you can hit for 10k immediately, and that means you're gonna have to fight 3 people who can probably cleanse for each other at least with some skill. Not always, but it's a possibility. And every one of them have its own cleanse, which cleansing condition almost resets the fight immediately. But power can be doing that through kiting and healing, so it can reset the fight too. This is not a concept only applied for condition, but everyone run with a condition cleanse. I mean, if they are at least decent players, and that means everyone have to use their cleanse first. But not everyone can defend themselves against seriously high damage for power. Not everyone walking with techno damage. Not everyone have blocking skills. Not everyone can defend this good. And that's the advantage that power gives to you. I remember some streamer, I'm not gonna refer to names, but calling power more rewarding to play. And I have to say, they are kinda true. So what is the pro or benefit of playing condition? That you don't have to invest in 3 states like power, precision, ferocity, which you do with the power play. You only need to invest in condition damage and duration, like through expertise. And that leave another state or 2 to invest in toughness, vitality, or healing, whatever your build is. And that make most condition builds are seriously tanky. And since in the game you can get higher condition duration through other things like runes and sigils, you can completely only go with condition damage and toughness, vitality. You can have a seriously tank character. So some people say that's too much sustain. But put a condition player against a power player. A condition player can't instantly kill a power player, since a power player will always have condition removal. But the only thing he can defend himself through against a power player is either using time. He can't kill him immediately, so he need to survive all the damage and dodge right and block right or whatever he gonna use. So the longer the fight is with instant damage like power, the more damage actually the power do. So this tankiness is not real. In a fight of 2 minutes, the amount of power damage I would have to take or avoid or heal through is much higher than the amount of damage a power player will take, since he completely remove it or avoid it the same way I do avoid it. So this tankiness is literally faced by this much damage. And that's the first problem when people look to condition versus power. Of course, when you see how the fight seriously move, you wouldn't really feel the point I just said, but it's reality. So the other thing is, power rewards you more, and the more you invest in it, the more punishing it is to your enemies. And that's why it needs a restriction. You need to pay a price for this much power you have, pun intended. The thing is, if you can one-shot a player, or for like a second beast or a longbow ranger, which a lot of people really don't like them, I know, auto attack for 5k and stuff like this. I mean, even to this point, they can second beast with rapid fire, skill 2 for the longbow, with 15k easily. I took a heart seeker from a thief by 11k, and I have 3k armor. And that's how effective power is, even after the nerf from the patches. I took this hit yesterday, okay? So, the thing is, if you wanna go completely precision, ferocity, and power, then there have to be a price. And this price is your tankiness. If you go as maximum as possible in condition, you still don't have this effect. You need time, and time to kill someone means you need to be able to handle that time. And you can only have that through higher toughness, vitality, or healing. So, with this idea out of the way, let's discuss the idea of power creep, or the problems with sustain versus too much damage, or whatever this is. I think, of course, this patch fixed a lot of the power creep problems. Whatever the damage is probably way better than it used to be. And it's become harder to kill with Berserker, especially with a lot of condition player. That means you need to be really good to go for Berserker. That make condition playing more rewarding. Sadly, I have to say yes, like it's easier to play for players, If you go with something like Marauder, you're not as strong as you used to, and people have a lot of time to react. That means it's not that easy to kill someone with it, but that probably because I am a power noob and I am fully condition player. So take this with a grain of salt. But the thing is, the problem with condition versus power, which make condition in a worse place actually, is that condition can be almost immunized against, and power cannot be that. If you noticed how people can defend themselves against power and condition, as I explained, there is so many ways to defend against condition, but not against power. People can even support each other against condition, but they can't do that against power. I mean, everything would apply to power, like projectile mitigation, like blocking for other people, like a guardian skill F3 would work or prevent the condition damage as it prevent power. Only the boon protection have higher access and resistance, and that make it a power defense that condition doesn't have. But healing, blocking, stuff like this apply for both. People can remove condition from you, but they can't remove power damage from you. You will take it. So power damage always hit and always reaches other. Condition damage doesn't. And everyone have cleanses that mean no fight end immediately. And that leads us to the too much cleanse, or the full cleanse build as I call it, which still exists in the game and make a horrible problem. And if you give me time to explain it, you'll understand why. Take a Holosmith for 2 years, since 6 February 2018 to this batch 25 February, had too much protection access with a trait been added at this point, 6 February 2018, anti-corrosion plating. Every time you remove a condition, every time you get a protection, you remove a condition. And the Holosmith used to play with a skill called Light Arena that apply protection to you once every second and apply to everyone standing in it from your allies. That means it removes to everyone a single condition every second. But with the use of rune like the antitoxin, every time you remove a condition, you remove another. And that means every second it removes 2 conditions. With the use of another trait, Purity of Purpose, that condition was changed into boon. And if that condition was vulnerability, it changed to protection, and changed it to protection would remove another condition. So it's 15 seconds, that means 30 condition. And if you take like 3 times vulnerability or whatever, that means it's 36, etc. And it applies for everyone in your team, not only you. And when you use a healing skill like the healing turret, you get a protection and it removes already 2 conditions, and that means it triggers a rune, that means 4 conditions. And they even use the sigil of cleansing on their weapon, so each time they enter they get out of hollow form, they remove 2 conditions from a trait, 2 boons with another 1 from the rune, and 3 from the cleansing sigil, and another 1 from the rune. It was stupid. And they still even use Elixir C to remove all condition, turning them to boon with the tool built skill, removing another 2 with another 1 from the cleansing, and everything turned to boons. It was impossible to kill a Holosmith unless you have 3 decent condition player at least, if he plays this build. For 2 years there was no nerf. This sounds like a rant, but we're discussing the problem of condition. Why I think this is a problem? Not because I say condition is harder to play or stuff like this, of course not. This is what I call a full cleansing build, and it's a problem that we need condition to be higher, and it makes the classes that can't play such build in a different or difficult position. I think every class should have enough condition cleanse, but never too strong and never too less. And that's why I believe rune of antitoxin and cleansing sigil should be even removed from the game. Let's get Revenant for example. Revenant use rune of antitoxin and sigil of cleansing would remove, every time he use his weapon would remove 4 conditions. Every time he change legends he would remove 2 conditions. If he used dwarf healing skill he would remove 6 conditions. and on his dev 3, I guess, the one that remove condition, I don't know, 3 or 4, probably 4, would remove another 3 condition, and that's it. He technically doesn't really have skills to remove condition, unless I can't really remember Revenant right. If you take these 2 runes, and if he run like Shiro and Glint, like doesn't even have Dwarf, he barely have condition cleansing at this point. He probably just gonna die against the Scourge. And look to a Holosmith, for example, who's still having anti-corrosion plating. Look to a warrior whose stupid amount of cleanses. A full cleanse warrior would be even worse than a Holosmith used to be. It was nerfed a little bit, but still have the shout on double ammunition, the signet on removing all condition, mending healing skill with 3, and removing on weapon swap is have too much. But her Revenant doesn't have any way to do it. But as long as you keep them, someone can play a full condition cleanse and still use them, and it's overpowered. People wouldn't just take enough, they take all. At least some of them, and that's make a problem for condition. And the existence of those things make you doesn't care as a developer to put enough condition cleanses for classes who doesn't have enough of it. And that put us in a problem. You feel you fighting someone too sustaining and you don't have enough cleanse, you can't kite, you can't fight it, you die. But it's literally become a problem with the class. And it's even a problem for choice and builds. You have to take cleansing sigil, you have to take antitoxin rune. This is so bad. And antitoxin rune is a condition rune, and that make it worse if you're a power player. So I think those things should be changed to completely not be an option. You have to do it through traits and skills, and they have to be enough, not too much, not too little. You'd have to have enough option. You would have to weigh your option, how much condi cleanse you want to have. But even if you take the highest number possible, this should always be not too strong. I could give you, even the developer could give us multiple options. Like the problem with rangers, they can only remove conditions through survivor skills. If you don't go survivor skills, you can't remove condition. Simple as that. You would have to take it, and if you take it, great, you have a lot of condition removal. Not too much. I think ranger only can remove 2 every time, so it's decent. But other than that, if you don't take it, you don't have anything. And that gets me to another problem. The idea of having a boon like resistance is it works way stronger than protection. I think it shouldn't completely render condition useless. I mean, let's say it stops condition from damaging you. For example, I'm just talking. So it wouldn't stop all condition. Let's say it would stop other condition, not damage. It would lower the damage, but completely no condition effect is too much. Even if the condition is not high in the game, except probably for warrior. That leads us to the idea of how you cleanse conditions. Cleansing conditions through different methods like turning to bones or stuff like this is really good in the game, like make a lot of plays, and I'm not against it. And you can also cleanse it over time, like burst stance, wills and spectre walk for necro, stuff like this, and even the engineer one. But it leads us to another way of strong cleanses, is a full cleanse. It's a cleanse that remove all conditions, 13 condition, 14 condition, stuff like this, that technically would remove all the condition you. I think every class should have at least a single access to it. The idea of surviving through something and fighting a game, and once you used it, now you're a problem. Not all classes have that. I think some classes have it in a really good way, probably like engineers through Elixir C, druid, which not ranger, and that's kind of a problem too, ranger, but only druid have it. I think every class should have it at least, so it will put more of defense, especially if we removed the rune of antitoxin and sigil of cleansing. There should be a way to nullify the damage, like take no damage. for power, not only defending through cleanses, few things and stuff like this. Especially that if we remove those two, for a lot of builds that's gonna be so difficult to fight against condition, especially the build that was completely depending on them. At least some builds gonna be way stronger than others. So that would the only thing I probably adjust against condition, but I don't think condition present a problem. I think power has always presented a problem in the game, and condition sometimes did, like I said, with condition mirage, but it has to be played like this. The idea of being a tank is a benefit against condition because condition have problems in way to do damage. So it's a decent balance, but the game is not balanced through the way you defend yourself, through the way you can cleanse condition. And in power, well, the way to defend yourself is kinda limited, and that make it more direct and more effective. I hope you enjoyed this video, and give me your thoughts in the comments. Why do you think I missed, or like what I was wrong about? I mean, I could be wrong, what do I know? So tell me what you think, what do you know, and I'll see you in next video.